Everyone, welcome back to episode 2. Not that I know of, but people came and go here. What about it? Nothing, no, nothing. Just thinking Taehyung mumbled and found it strange. So the man wasn't known here, but he said he lived around here. He it go, and his probably far before he helped his dad to clean out the garage. When lunchtime hit, Mom made them sandwich and Taehyung left right after that to meet up with his childhood friends. He took his old bike out of garage and sprinted away. The court was only 5 minutes away. As he arrived, he could already see some familiar faces. His face light up as he approached them after he locked his bike. Hey, they yelled in unison as Taehyung gave them a hug and laughed. Hello to you too. It's been a while, Taehyung said and approached Minho. Okay, if you practice so hard, let's play then. Show me if you are improved, Taehyung said with a glint in his eyes as he grabbed the ball and walked to the middle of the field. They made team and started a game. Taehyung had missed this as he was passing the ball around. In college, he didn't have time to play, and most people he knew didn't play scorer either. They played around for some time, and just as Taehyung was about to score, he smelled this accent so in feeling so good. It smells like sandalwood. He completely forgot about the game as his mind drifted off. He had never really smelled other people, and this made him confused if he smelled other alpha. It was never this strong. How was he able to smell something now? And who was it? He passed the ball and looked around. He didn't register his friends calling his name as he was sniffing the air and trying to find out who this amazing smell belonged to. He felt his heart flutter and beat in his chest. He had never felt something like this and made him scared. His omega yelping inside him, also something he had never registered before. How was this possible? He had never been connected with his omega side. He had never been connected with his omega side, and how it came out as if it was the first time he had presented. He had tried to hide the voices away, but now it was pouring in his head. As they smelled the air, he felt his ear turn red as his knees weakened as he tried to Taehyung came back to his senses when he registered what he had just done. He let his omega out. This can't be happening. Are you okay? Minho touched Taehyung's shoulder, startled. Taehyung turned around as his parents looked at him with concern. Yeah, it's nothing. Felt a little dizzy. That's it, he lied and he smiled at them after slowing hard. He could feel his omega yipping and jumping in him. Happy with the smell, what could that mean? He had never experienced something like this, and he had never learned about omegas, and he didn't plan on being one. He shook his head. He could deal with this. Come on, let's play. You still haven't won from me, he said jokingly and kicked the ball away as they were sitting and breathing hard. After playing a few more rounds, they called it a day. You know what we should do? Minho said excitedly. We should go out tonight and to the bar to celebrate things return. Everyone cheered and Taehyung thought, why not? It's been a while since he let loose, so they decided to meet up tonight at the local bar. A few drinks would surely help calm his nerves and unsettling feeling inside him. He needed to calm his omega down, or things could get worse. Boss, I'm back, Namjoon said as he walked into Jungkook's study, the little dog wiggling inside after him and set himself before The said boss. Jungkook looked up, his eyes stern and his gaze fixed on his second. Good, let's go. They found the man who has tried to meddle with our business. Let's hear him out. Jungkook said with a dark look and a smirk on his face as he stood up and buttoned his suit jacket. He also that smell where it did came from. It was a sweet mix between an apple and his alpha inside pricked up and became restless. He looked around and sniffed. He couldn't place it and didn't know where it came from. Do you smell that? He asked. What smell? I didn't smell anything, Namjoon said and looked at his confused boss. He had never seen him like this ever. They had a month here with the gang over 6 months ago, and this was the first time he saw his boss out of character. Mind, let go, or I will lose my will to torture that man. Right behind you, sir. You, sir, Namjoon said, and walked after the boss. Once he had passed him out of his study, Jungkook pulled out his coat as Namjoon opened the door to let Jungkook out and let him to take Slick Sunny SUV and opened the door to let him in. As he closed the door, he walked swiftly to the driver's side and started the car and drove off. They were heading to one of the abandoned warehouses at the back of the little town. As they drove, Jungkook couldn't stop thinking about the amazing smell. He had never been that catch off guard, and it made him feel things he had never felt. What this is mates smell? He had never believed in something like fated pair, and he thought people were just exaggerating with the stories and how you would know by smell that someone was your mate. Now he was questioning those made up stories. This smell was one of a kind, and he wanted to know who that smell belonged to. He definitely knew no one of these surroundings was his mate because he knew them all, and he never smelled this one on them, and the smell had been inside the study once Namjoon had walked in with Chopper. If they had met someone, he would ask later. His mind was wandering away when they arrived and Namjoon opened the door. Jungkook was a little startled but masked his face quickly as he got out of the car and buttoned his suit jacket back up. Now it was time to do some business. Someone had been trying to take over some of his business. He had to find out who it was. Soon they walked into the dark and musky room, and in the middle there was seated a trembling Peter, leaning forward, sitting on a chair. He had bent down. His body was shivering from the cold and he was soaked. So this is the one we have been looking for? Jungkook asked with a sadistic laugh as the man flinched and tried to break free, but his hands were restricted behind his back to the chair. Jungkook laughed. Sorry, can't do first, Jungkook said in a stern voice and walked slowly over to the man in the middle of the room. He had taken his coat and suit jacket off and was now rolling his sleeves off his crispy white clothes. Want to talk now? Jungkook whispered to his face. The man was dotting his eyes around and lips tightly sealed. The one who was he was covering for must be one hell of a man. If he tried to anger Jungkook, his patience was running thin, and a vein was starting to pop on his forehead. He swiftly handed the bag and stared it hard into the man's thigh. A high shrill scream could be heard throughout the building as the man stretched in the chair, deeply stiffened the upper leg. Speak, Jungkook screamed, twisted a little. It was a generous but stern. Boss, don't anger Jungkook, or you would really get in trouble. Namjoon didn't even flinch. Okay, I don't know his name. I only get order from his man. He will kill me if you know about him. The man cried out as Jungkook pulled from his leg out of his one. As Jungkook grabbed handkerchief, you're going to die either way. No one mess with me, Jungkook said with anger in his voice as he grabbed the man by his earrings. Jungkook said as the man started to rumble out a name, but Jungkook heard it. I only know this name. He ordered me, please don't kill me. The man cried and pleaded for his life. Before Jungkook kicked his knees hard to his face, his nose falling unconscious in his arms. Namjoon, get him out of here, alive or dead. Your choice, Jungkook said as he walked away, pulling his jacket and his coat back on before he retreated out of the building. A heavy sigh left his lips as he stepped aside, smelling the fresh air as he was getting his thoughts back together. His phone rang. Jungkook said with a stern voice as he picked up. He now not so angry. It's Yoongi. Are you still meeting tonight at the bar? I have some new information for you, Jungkook said as he wanted to go home and sleep. In the last few weeks had been hectic trying to figure out who was trying to save him, but he also needed that information, so he agreed to meet Yoongi tonight at the local bar here. It was he had missed Yoongi. They had been friends for a very long time, and now Yoongi was a handyman. He knew everyone and everything. He was also an alpha, but liked to stay in the background. Jungkook had asked him to come work for him, but he had declined. He only said that he would want to work with him. Then Jungkook asked us, Namjoon nodded. Let's go. Namjoon drove them back to the mansion Jungkook's house. As they were driving through the little town, Jungkook's alpha instinct picked up again. That smell, it was here again. Jungkook's eyes darted around out the window of the car and tried to look at the person with that amazing smell. The only thing he could see was the park and a lot of people out playing. Who was it? He almost ordered Namjoon to stop the car, but they were driving too fast. He had his window rolled down to keep smelling that apple cinnamon smell. He would most definitely get addicted to. His mind was still lingering on the accent as they drove up the long driveway with the tall trees on each side and the big white mansion appeared before them. It was closed off and could not be seen from the village, and no one would came here, and no one knew that a mansion like this was in the woods. It was easier to operate from here and no one would bother them. He had other houses and apartments over the whole world, but he loved living here the most. He felt strangely connected to this place and loved the woods. For the rest of the day, Jungkook's mind was somewhere else, and before he knew, they were heading to the bar, all ready to meet up with Yoongi. Jungkook entered the crowded bar, his senses heightened as an alpha, and everyone in the way parted immediately with his strong aura, much too trying to not to be unnoticeable. Meeting Yoongi, people were watching him as he headed to back and saw Yoongi already seated in one of the booths. He stood up with a small smile to greet Jungkook. Jungkook grinned. How could he not be a person always be cheerful? As they hugged, they sat down and ordered a drink. Young immediately started the conversation. Jungkook was there alone with time without Namjoon following him. The information Yoongi had couldn't be heard by anyone other than himself. He didn't know who was planning to kill him and take over his business, so he didn't risk anyone hearing. He trusted Yoongi. How could he not? They had been friends for almost their whole life. As they were talking and drinking, Yoongi told him some interesting things. The man that he had tortured earlier was the businessman who went bankrupt and had a lot of debts. The man who had ordered him and promised him big money. Yogi also told him that he already knew the name of the man who had given him those orders. They were getting closer to who was actually behind all this. Someone was giving that man all the information. They had to find who was doing all of that. Jungkook suddenly picked up Yoongi. Look at him, questioning. As Jungkook was sniffing the air, that smell again. He watched the crowd. He didn't smell it before, so it must be one who had just come in. His heart hummed again against his chest as he felt his getting hard. For the enchanting scent, the body became hot and Alpha was pushing through, taking out over his body. He needed to find the person now. As he stood up, he excused himself to Yoongi and walked away, following the scent. His body had a mind of its own. As the trail ended at the bathroom door, found that Taehyung was enjoying himself in the bar with his friend. He had been aged since he had gone out, and he was sipping on his beer as he talked to the pretty Omega that had been eyeing from the moment he walked into the bar. He hadn't seen her here before, so he had walked up to hear anything to scrutinize. He was laughing with her, and she batted her eyelashes at him. Suddenly, Taehyung sniffed. There it was, the same smell. It had made him dizzy, and his gaze was this one glass of beer already taking effect. His omega inside was picking up again. It was again the same feeling. He couldn't focus on the story and the pretty omega was telling as he tried to get more of the smell. His pupils and his breath became heavy. Are you alright? The girl said as she touched his shoulder. Taehyung flinched away. He didn't want her touch. He wanted to touch of the one he with that amazing accent. He had to get away from her. this his hit? He wasn't expecting it in another week and he had been taking his supplements regularly. Why didn't they work? What was this feeling? He didn't know this was what would happen. He had no experience anything like this. He darted through the crowd and pushed the door to the toilet room. The toilets open. He found an empty stall and locked himself up. His breath was coming out in short breaths as he tried to get the air inside his lungs. His body trembled as his eyes watered. The smell was too much. He felt something wet between his legs, but he was too confused. What was this? He wanted nothing more than to find that smell have it on him, in him, over him. He wanted to. Come on, you can do it. Go back home. Take those pills. It's going to be all right. As he trembled fingers unlocked the door, his body was suddenly slammed against the wall and a big hard body covered him. The sandalwood accent was back and all over him now. His omega went crazy and then severe under the man's touch. His head fell back against the wall and the man linked and kissed his accent and on the next over and over again. He couldn't do anything as the man took control of his body. Found you? No, he stopped. Who are you? Taehyung tried to resist, but his body was weak and his omega wasn't helping. He wanted this man. The name is Jungkook and I will have you to scream my name all night long. Jungkook whispered against Taehyung's sensitive neck and kissed his way up to his jaws. Taehyung wanted that. He wanted this man all over him. You smell so good, all mine. Jungkook groaned and out and took Taehyung's jaw between his fingers as he pulled his face down and their eyes locked. They knew how hot shiver pressed through their bodies and sparkled when felt all over them. Whimpered as he watched those chocolate eyes. His heart escaped a beat at the handsome man before him. The man with so smell. Was this what they call a fated pair? He didn't know. His omega side went wild as Jungkook once again kissed his accent and let Taehyung had wrapped his arm around the man's neck, not resisting anymore. He didn't have the power or will to fight him. He wanted Jungkook. He cried as Jungkook kissed up his jaw and finally kissed his lips softly at first before taking his bottom lip between his teeth and bite it down. Taehyung gasped opened his mouth for Jungkook to enter his kiss him. Taehyung cried into the kiss and let Jungkook devour him. Taehyung had never kissed anyone like this before and his knees trampled. Jungkook ground his needy Jian against them and gripped his waist hard before he looked at them and whispered in his ear, "Let's go to my house." Taehyung cried and wanted nothing more than to do just that, and he let Jungkook take him in his arms before he pulled him out of the back entrance of the bar. To be continued. What do you think? What is gonna happen between them? Are they gonna last their first time together, or is something gonna stop them? We will get to know all this in the next episode. So you can bye. Love you. Bye. Happy Holi to all of you.